Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 24th episode of the 5 Minute Major Podcast, St. Louis. It's been an absolutely crazy week for the NHL. The salary cap is going up
Heck
to
yeah,
like
baby.
115 million in a couple years. That's huge. And then just huge trades outside of the Rantanen and Natchez trade have happened, and Vancouver is working right now, and I think Pittsburgh and some other teams are going to start wheeling and dealing pretty hard too. Yeah, it's not been good for Blues fans though. We've had the worst stretch of the season, 4 straight losses. We're actually
Yikes.
currently playing as we're recording this in Utah. We're up 1-0 after the first period.
Alex Texier, baby.
Texier with a nice goal. He was knocking on the door all game. We'll get into our thoughts on the Blues stretch right now and the whole Brandon Saad thing, and it just feels like we
So
should
much has
start
happened.
tanking.
Yeah.
A lot has happened.
Tanking,
We'll see what happens.
weak draft. It's not a great draft, though.
I know, so that's
the
why
worst part.
we'll get into it. I don't think it's gonna be like a complete overhaul. Army's not the guy to do that either. I know the fans kind of want it to happen, but it's just frustration building.
It'll be a shakeup. And I mean, with the shakeup, I really think it's going to be someone you're not expecting. And I think a bigger name is going to go.
Yeah, and it might not be like it's not going to be a core player. We're pretty certain that there's no way a core player gets traded. No one wants a contract that big for that long right now, I don't think, unless they're like,
I don't know.
maybe if they're like a step ahead of it. No, I mean like an actual core player. Like Falk's out anyway.
Falk's out. But Kyrou may be a guy, though. I really think he can bring back. I don't want him to
I'm
go,
not entertaining it.
but he is the guy that I think could bring you a crazy good return right now.
I mean, it's true, but it won't happen. All right, let's go to the league trade news, though. As we mentioned, Brandon Saad, mutual contract termination. What a great guy, honestly.
Yeah.
Walks away from $4 million this year and next year. He goes out, says, I don't want to play in the AHL. I want to play in the NHL. And I think the agreement is that Army knew that he was going to sign somewhere for cheaper because teams just didn't want to pay that much.
I think the original agreement, though, was he was willing to go down and play. That was the original agreement. And then once he cleared waivers, it sounded like his agent called and was like, hey, we're willing to walk away from the $5 million, the $4.5 million.
He probably knew that if you just agree to go away, you can sign a cheap deal for the rest of the year and play Stanley Cup playoff hockey. You can
win a cup at the end of the year.
Right. He signs a year in Vegas for 1.5 steal.
Yeah.
Vegas has a 20 goal scorer now on their third or fourth line. He's currently playing in New York right now, so I haven't checked in on his stats, but we'll see how he does the rest of the year. Scotty P as well was traded to the Islanders for a 5th-round pick in 2026. I mean, I feel bad for Scotty. I truly think he could have been a good player for us. I think the big, massive defensive contracts on old players ruined his chances. He's getting his chance now with a ton of injuries on the island. He's averaging over 18 minutes a night. He's got 2 points in 2 games and is +3. And I think he didn't get any points in the last game, but he was just a solid eggs across the board. Nothing bad, nothing good. Was just out there playing good. So he's got 2 points in 3 games. So good for him, man. Hobey Baker winner, man. Super offensive-minded defenseman. And he's just a tiny guy. But that's the only reason that I feel like he wasn't played.
But here's the thing. I'm going to say something right now because I just looked at his current game he's playing in. Everyone said he's going to go away. He's a -3 tonight.
Oh, no.
He is a -3 with 14 minutes of ice time.
So he's evened out his plus-minus.
He has 1 block shot, a giveaway, and no shots on net, and they're in the 3rd period. So he's reverting to his old ways and not putting the puck on the net. I'm sorry. I was never a big fan of his. If a guy's a Hobey Baker winner, please tell me why you're not putting pucks on net. But tomato,
he's gone.
For you. He's gone.
Good for the Islanders to go out and try and pick up some pieces like D'Angelo and Perunovich when they got all these injuries, and now they're competing again. They've won like 6 straight. Then the Eastern playoff is just a joke right now. Everyone has a chance. It's wild.
Yeah.
The Senators are in the 3rd place in the Atlantic. Good for them. Amazing. All right, let's go on to Calgary. They traded Kuzmenko, Pelletier, a Frenchie, a 2nd-round pick in 2025, and a 7th-round pick in 2028 to Philadelphia for Frost and Farabee. This was kind of a big one.
Yeah, I was surprised. Was not expecting it.
No.
But I think both those guys were not clicking with the John Tortorello style of play. And this, I think, is going to bite Philly in the butt.
I think so, too.
I'm sorry. I don't. I think we're at the point where I love Torts. I think he is just a vibe in himself. But that style of coaching and play does not work in modern day NHL. And it's my way or the highway. And he's not great with the youth players, I feel like, in my opinion. And Morgan Frost is a stud, in my opinion. Morgan Frost will be a good player in the league. And honestly, they're going to do well in Calgary, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But Kuzmenko will not vibe well with good old Torts. Those two are going to have a nightmare together because he had issues in Calgary, and he does not like to work hard all the time.
Yeah, he doesn't hit at all. He barely forechecks. He's a soft player. He's a great player, but he's soft.
He's an offensive-minded guy, and that's it.
People were saying Pelletier is kind of a decent, low-key good pickup for them, though. They think he can kind of be that bottom 6 leader, which is good for them. And they get 2 more picks. They have so many picks.
Loaded with picks.
So if you want to say a rebuild is happening in Philly, they're doing it kind of the right way, right? They're getting as many draft picks as possible and shipping out contracts that aren't working, and there you go.
To me, I feel like if they're going full retool, I don't know if Sanheim is the guy they're going to keep around forever.
Oh, Sanheim, yeah.
Yeah, Sanheim. And the Blues already tried to get him once. You're trying to just do a small a rebuild here and you need some good leadership. Here's Justin Falk and a first-round pick.
Yeah, go play Justin Falk with Eric Johnson on your first D pair.
Heck
Holy
yeah, baby.
Throwback. All right, let's get into the Vancouver trades. They traded JT Miller, Brandstrom, Dorrington to the New York Rangers for Hedel, Mancini, and a first-round pick. So, I don't really know who won this. I feel like it's gonna go well both ways. I mean, the Rangers are kind of getting back into it a little bit. Miller scored in his first game back.
He's just a locker room cancer.
But I feel like in New York it won't be as bad. I think New York there's a lot more wily vets, kind of like old school style players than there is in Vancouver. I mean, and also Elias Peterson is just kind of a baby. He's got a big baby head.
I was listening to that, and they think it was really bad.
I mean, he's just in people's faces constantly. Like that, he's just like, do the best you can always, and if you don't, I'm mad at you. It sounds like Tortorella.
Yeah.
So,
but
I mean, maybe JT Miller could be a good coach in a few years.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know. I think Vancouver's they're just trying to get rid of that situation entirely. I mean, Pedersen came out and played awfully the first game after he got traded, and Miller went and scored a goal. So I mean, maybe it's just a little bit of an adjustment for him to be like, oh my God, no more of this junk. I can finally get back to my game, but you're still an $11.5 million player. You should be scoring every game, man. So we'll see. And they weren't done. They weren't done with this. Vancouver also, yes, they sent Heinen, Desharnais, Fernstrom, and another first-round pick to Pittsburgh for another Pedersen on the back end, and then Drew O'Connor, who I wanted on the Blues. I like Drew O'Connor.
Both of these guys are going to be solid for Vancouver. Vancouver, honestly,
they just picked up some really low-key solid pieces to help them in a playoff run. They were kind of bubbling around that wild card. I think maybe they can start going in stride and getting closer to the 3rd spot in the Pacific, especially with the Kings. I think they've kind of have a little rough patch lately. So this could be huge for Vancouver. Also, they have arguably one of the best captains in the league in Quinn Hughes. He might be hurt right now too, so Pedersen might get extra minutes. This is huge for them. They've made good trades, so we'll see. I'm not saying anything's good or bad for Pittsburgh. They're in a huge rebuild right now, according to Dubas, but they still haven't moved on from Raquel, Bunting, Crosby, Malkin. Like, I think they need the truly Letang, Carlson. Like, get rid of them. If you're in a huge rebuild, think about what you can get for Sidney Crosby. Like, he doesn't want to go, obviously, but think about what you can get. It's still Sidney Crosby.
I think they keep Crosby. It's going to be the Letangs, the Granlunds, the Carlson,
Malkin, maybe.
Malkin.
Yeah, or it's just Crosby, Malkin stay, everyone else goes. I mean, that wouldn't surprise me either, but and they're also so close to retirement. Maybe one more 2-year contract for Crosby after this one, and then he's got to be done. I mean, Jesus.
But so here's the thing: we're saying Pedersen's not having a great season. He's got 33 points, which is fourth on the Blues right now. He's got 22 assists, which is tied for second if he was playing for the Blues. And I'm pretty sure he's having a pretty good face-off year. So, like, Pedersen, I think, is not performing to the full capability, but he's still a very good player, and I think he's still considered a superstar in this league.
Oh, I mean, he's getting paid an $11.5 million.
Which is a bargain here in the next couple of years.
He should have 50 points. So it is a down year right now, but considering the whole problem that was going on in the locker room, I guess you can give him a little leeway, but time to start scoring every game again. And he can't go away in the playoffs. He was a complete disaster in the playoffs this past year. People wanted him gone. And now everyone was cheering for Miller to be gone. It's such a weird dynamic in Vancouver. And I'm sure people think the same way about St. Louis, saying, Kyrou stinks. Get rid of him. Oh, Thomas is horrible tonight. He needs to go. Sit, bitch, Buchnevich. And I mean, we've all said it. But anyways. All right. And then San Jose with a sneaky trade. Honestly, Dallas, dude. What a pickup for them with this. They get Granlund and Ceci. And San Jose gets a first-round pick and a third-round pick in next year's draft, or this year's draft. I mean, I'd say it's a fair trade. Dallas, dude, Granlund is so underrated, and CC's a big body. He plays exactly like Dallas needs.
That's a lot to give up, though, for them, though.
I mean, they're going for broke. Their window's still open. Ben's not getting any younger. Sagan's not getting any younger. This is it. Your window is still open, but you have to kind of make these Vegas-type trades where you're trading picks for players now to win now. And if they want to keep competing with Vegas and have a chance to beat them in the playoffs this year, you got to have depth, and this helps.
Yeah,
for sure. Okay, that's all the trades that had happened now. We're going to go into some possible rumors that have been circulating around the league as well. Josh, I'll let you talk about these, and maybe I'll chime in.
Yeah, so trade rumors here. So the Senators, Josh Norris, his name's been around in a lot of teams. I really do think he's probably traded this season, just because he's got $7.9 million cap hit. His trade protection doesn't kick in until the 26-27 season. Potential landing spot, and I agree with you that Vancouver could be that spot. Also, I'm sorry, if you're the Blues, I don't see why this is a bad idea for you, adding that center.
Agreed.
I think
it might take a little. I don't know. The Senators, the way they're playing right now, maybe they let it ride this year and deal with it next year with the no trade, not kicking in for 2. But why not next year? You know, I mean, if the Senators finally make it back to the playoffs and compete,
he's got 19 goals and 12 assists in 50 games.
Yeah, he's a pretty solid, maybe second, third line center.
54% in the dot.
That makes me happy. So
that's what I thought.
We'll see. It might. I mean, he gets paid a lot, man. And it's through 29-30, and that's just wild. You know, it's kind of like if we were to trade Bush. You know, it would be nuts to try and get it off the books without retaining at least half. But Vancouver could do it. I mean, They have a lot of pieces now. If they start kind of tanking a little bit, or they really need a center, why not send out a couple guys you just got? You know,
That's
maybe they fit in.
yeah. I'm kind of wondering who will get. He'll be traded and he'll get a haul. But also, I think there's going to come down to a point where you're making that decision with Ottawa. What direction are you going to? Like, are you shipping people out? Are you retooling here because you're not really jumping over that hurdle right now?
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe they're third in the Atlantic right now.
Yeah.
I mean, is Olmark back?
Yeah, I believe he's back.
Okay, that's a big reason. I don't know, low key good team. I don't think they should trade Josh Norris, but people just keep talking about it. All right, into
All
the
right.
next.
Islanders, Kyle Palmieri. We've talked about him. Potential landing spots are saying Colorado, New Jersey Devils. Probably, in my opinion, he goes to Colorado. I think that sounds like a Colorado move, an old veteran guy. It's what they did with Parise.
True.
You bring him in, depth, and it's only going to help you.
Yeah. I mean, what I don't even know what they have to give, but it would work for them, and I think it would be great for New Jersey. He's been there, done that.
Oh,
Everyone loves Paul Mary. He's like second on the team in points for the Islanders.
Yeah.
He's like 38 years old.
Yeah. He'll get picked up by a team making a push for the playoffs, and I think that he'll get traded one way or another. I think they're going to have a fire sale there with the Islanders.
I don't know. They're back in it. They always do this. They always do that, and it's not even the overtime loss thing this year. That's Vancouver's problem. It's the Islanders are just on a win streak.
My thing is, I think you're at the point with them where you got to make this decision. Do you sell off your assets and recoup with capital for the next season?
True.
Where you can draft and start growing the roots. And I think that's where they're at. Because I think Lou Lamoriello is going to have to make that decision sooner than later.
Yeah, I mean, they're old, man. They're super old.
That right there is why. And they're old, and with some contract coming off the books, you're not going to bring a lot of these guys back. Yeah. So at least get something for them before they're just going to walk away in free agency.
Yeah, Barzal's having a bad year. Maybe he's a guy you think about. I mean, they are ruining his prime.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they're destroying his prime. He's had playoff experience, but they've just never had another person. You know, they never had another piece, and he just works by himself, it seems like. And this year he's really slumping. I mean, you could get a haul for him, too. I mean, send him to freaking Colorado. That would be nuts, dude.
Yeah.
Having him in Colorado would be crazy.
You have just like a middle tier team right over there.
But they're winning right now. It's weird. Sorokin's a big piece of that. He's just unreal.
Yeah. Varlamov. Good Lord. Looking at
he
that
got
roster.
hurt.
Yeah.
He got hurt real bad, so it's pretty much just Sorokin right now.
Sorokin carrying that team. All right. Continuing on with the discussion of the Penguins, though, of the fire sale, I'm just going to fire off all three of these guys. Raquel, Bunting, and Grzelcyk.
Yep.
Bunting seems to always get moved at the deadline for a team trying to make a push. I think he's that middle six guy that can fill in and can play multiple positions, and I think can play your kill, can play your power play. Good pickup if you're a team looking for some added depth. Raquel is such an interesting player to me. It's a guy that we talked about early on. If we were in a push, that I would be willing to try to go out and get. I think he can bring a lot of firepower to whatever team. He has 43 points in 52 games. Is a leader. Is a little bit on the older side, and has been around the league for a little bit. And I think is just a steady, great player in my opinion. Grzelcyk having a decent season. I just don't know what the Penguins are going to keep and what they're not going to keep. It's a disaster there, and I kind of hate it for Sidney Crosby because it's just like, what is happening? And you took that contract to stay there and took a discount, and he loves it, and he has a cups. He has some Stanley Cups, and that's fine. But the Penguins are a disaster. Like, my gosh.
Yeah, they just waited. Old. Yeah, they just waited too long to take the next step in rebuilding. But now they have Dubas, who's totally willing to trade like everybody besides a couple people. And hopefully it happens for them. I mean, they can really quickly turn it around if they just send some big names that are older out and get some draft capital and some young prospects and whatnot.
Yep.
Okay. And then Grizzlick, he's just having a great year. I don't know if he's going to get traded. I think they'd be stupid to. They should keep him for a while. But yeah, he's been crazy this year.
But that sounds like a Dubas move. He would.
Yeah, Doofus Dubas.
Dubas.
We'll call him Doofus Dubas.
All right, let's talk about these Blues, and we'll power through some trade potentials in our own organization here.
Yeah, just recap, 4 straight losses. We got shut out 2 of the last 3 games. We're currently at 50 points in the standings. That is 7 points out of a wild card spot, and also 7 points away from 30th in the NHL. So we're one way or the other right now. We are 29th in the PK, being scored on in 6 straight, and we're 25th on the power play, and you all know that we just don't shoot the puck enough. Yeah, it's we've had the worst PK in the league since our game in Utah on the 18th of January at 50%, which is horrendous. I mean,
it's
so
painful.
bad. I will say, before we get into this, we look good in Utah right now, tonight.
I would hope so.
It seems like we're on our toes. We actually have a little bit of urgency, like we're desperate, which is wild. It's that easy. You just have to go on a 4-game losing streak. Okay, let's get into it. Who's going to get shipped out of St. Louis? If we're in a true rebuild, retool, as Army says, he wanted us to compete. We're obviously not doing it right now. It's getting late. The NHL trade deadline seemed to have been moved up a little bit because of this 4 Nations thing. Who's next?
Yeah, so I think if you realistically look at this team, I don't think anyone's going to move. But us sitting here hypotheticals, who we would like to move, Justin Falk, I would really like to see moved. That's $6.5 million for this year and next year off the books. That gives you so much flexibility going into next offseason. The other guy is Letty. I don't think he's moving. If you're moving him, he's in the offseason. But he's coming off an injury that seemed to have taken him out the whole year. So who knows what that is. Suter, I think, is a realistic guy you could trade. But I think it's going to be more of a respect thing to him. If they go to him and be like, hey, do you want us to find a spot? I think they'll try to find one. Personally, I think Suter will just ride it out here for the whole year and just collect his money because he's going to make every performance bonus. So Suter stays. Foxa, I don't know. I think he is gone, but I realistically think he should be signed, in my opinion. I think he's the only guy that deserves an extension right now on this group. He should stay. He can play your 4th-line center role, and you find a way to get rid of Sonny in the offseason.
I agree. I think he needs to be your 4th-line center.
Yeah.
He really does. And if he's not, then you need to run Walker full-time center down there on the 4th line.
But tonight, Walker's the odd man out.
Well, I mean, you can't really be mad. Texier's played great on the 4th line tonight.
Yeah.
He scored a goal. He's hungry on pucks. That could just be his 1-in-20 game thing, just like the rest of this team. But who knows? And Texier's on my list here with you. Possible trade. I don't know. I mean, he's kind of expensive for a 4th-line player.
2.1.
I honestly don't think Monty likes him. I just don't think Monty really likes him that much. I think Army really wants him to get his chance. He scored tonight, as I mentioned. Maybe it's just not in a top 6 role as maybe some or Army might think. But 2.1 is a little expensive for a 4th-line player. Maybe we let this contract ride out, re-sign it for cheaper. Or you send him somewhere where he can be a healthy scratch on a playoff team, or I don't know. I like him personally. And then there's Matthew Joseph, who's just a great defensive hockey player. He is a little expensive as well. Um, I think you could get some, a decent draft pick for him, but I don't know. It's just one of those. If it happens, it happens. He's not a part of like the far future. No way.
Yeah,
Um,
I personally thought he was going to be more of a key factor in this season, especially with how he started the season out. Like, I felt like you got a lot more from him early on, and
yeah.
then derailed by injury. Then you trade
Yep.
his brother mid-season right before the holidays, and
And the Winter Classic.
the Winter Classic. He misses the Winter Classic, misses Thanksgiving and all and Christmas with his brother.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel like Texier and Joseph probably stay because they're just kind of buffer pieces. But in my
Yeah.
opinion, we have to make a decision here as an organization if this retool or we're just going to run with some young guns. Because I feel like both of those guys could be replaced by a Dylan Pedersen or a Kaskamaki, and you're going to get the same or more from a Kaskamaki or a Dylan Pedersen.
Yeah, and I don't mind that play. They've been
Yeah.
really good
And
in the
that's cheaper.
minors. Yeah. So
And then you can just take that money. And here's the thing, guys. I've never thought the Blues needed a superstar to be able to compete and win. We've been able to do it as a team mentality. I am starting to consider this team needs a guy that you is a perennial guy that's an all-star that can go out there when you need a goal and score a goal. And if that's and this is who I really would like them to do this offseason. Like Mikko Rantanen, I'm willing to pay $14 million to with the cap going up. I really am. That's a guy that can play with Thomas and just score. And I don't know how you feel, Mike. I think he would be huge impact for us. If not, Nicholas Ehlers from Winnipeg, if he hits free agency, it sounds like a Blue to me. You can offer him the 7.5, 8 million in that range, and he can come chill here for the next couple of years.
yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind either player. That only happens if we make the moves that we need to make.
Yeah.
I don't think Army will ever go out of his way to spend that much money. That much money.
I don't know though.
It just depends. He needs the extra buffer in the cap.
Yeah.
Don't let's not forget we got to extend Holloway and Broberg in a year or two. So and I think Holloway's a $6.5 million player right now, and I think Broberg needs to get paid the same that he gets paid now, and that's what 11 million together against the cap. So
I think you need to add to your defense, and I think an Aaron Ekblad would not be a bad pickup for this. 28. He'll be 29.
Still too old. I mean, we already got Fowler, who's 33, Suter, 40. We're trying to get rid of old players, unfortunately. Now, let's go get Keandre Miller.
Yeah,
he's been terrible this year. But
the issue is, are you trading for him? Because you don't have the draft picks to be able to offer sheet him.
True.
So you're having to make a trade. I think Keandre Miller, they may be willing to listen on that, and you can send them. Honestly, you know who they probably would take, and it would blow my mind. Like a Justin Falk or a P.O. Like they don't have a great bottom six. They could take some of these guys. You can give them eat. I'm fine with eating half of Falk's contract
for a year. Yeah, if they want to have a veteran defenseman on their third pair that they literally don't have, sure. Yeah, I'll eat $3 million off that.
Yeah,
sure.
I don't know. There's some options.
But then they're giving away Miller, who's their first line defenseman.
Yeah,
with Fox, so it's like I don't know if they'd be willing to do that. There's a lot of hoops to jump through, obviously.
I just think there will be a shakeup, and Mike doesn't agree with me on this one, but I think out of this group, Thomas is untouchable.
Oh, I agree with that.
The guy I really think that you probably can get a freaking haul for is Jordan Kyrou right now. Will it come back to bite us? Potentially. Did the TJ Oshie went and dominated when we traded him.
Yeah, but we also won a cup the year after they won their cup. So
yeah,
but that was because Armstrong went out and got Ryan O'Reilly.
Yeah. So, but this is the thing. We're at this point where we can't get over the hump. the young players are coming. And I saw this tweet on Twitter or on X or whatever we're calling it now. You need like 5 magic rabbits to be pulled out of the hat. So
that was Sam, STL Analytics on Twitter. If you guys don't follow them, you should.
And he basically was like, Holloway, Broberg, there's 2.
Yep. You need 3 more.
Need 3 more.
And now, but then they were like, is it Snuggerud and Dvorsky? Are those your next 2? And then what's your 5th? And the debate is, another superstar. So I don't know. I personally would love Mikko Rantanen.
Yeah.
I don't 14 million is wild. That's Draisaitl McDavid money. I'm not saying he's not worth it. I'm just saying I would rather it be like 12. But of course, that's just talking about saving $2 million.
The other thing
what's $2 million at that point?
Is
just
St. Louis
the other 2
an attractive place for him? I don't think it is.
I don't even think he's gonna want to stay in Carolina.
No.
I think he's gonna want to go to like an LA, a New York, a Chicago, something like that.
Yeah. So I don't know.
It's
not an exciting draft, really. There's some decent players.
If you tank hard enough, you can draft first and get what's his name? I can't even think of the prospect's name.
Not the center from Boston College?
I think so.
He's not even favored to go first overall anymore.
Oh, really?
It's a 17-year-old defenseman.
Oh, nice. Perfect. Yeah. Either one's great with me.
Yeah. So James Haggis, who you're talking about,
they're
saying most likely is going to end up going to Chicago.
Okay.
So that'll just be a punch in the freaking gut.
I don't know, man. Watching Chicago suck for 5 years is just unreal. That sucks.
They also are unloading money to be able to sign one of Marner or Rantanen, and they said they will give them whatever they want.
Yeah, it's Original Six hockey team with all the money in the world right now, thanks to the NHL for giving them a first overall draft pick the other year. Appreciate that one. Anyways, I don't want to talk about the Blackhawks. No, I agree. I like Mitch Marner.
I do too.
I do too.
I believe his agent is Broberg's.
Interesting. That's weird. Really?
I think so.
A Swedish and a Canadian? Isn't it usually you have like a bunch of Canadians or a bunch of Americans or a bunch of European guys? Huh. Marner is more like Elias Peterson number. He's more like an 11.5, 12, which I think is worth it.
I'm willing to give 12.
100%.
Yeah.
Then Thomas has to suck it up and be our second line center.
If you get it. Pettersson?
No, Marner.
Marner's not a center.
Yeah, he is.
He's a winger.
No.
Yeah.
I feel like I always see him on the dot.
Nope.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it Nylander? No, he's a winger too. Matthews is a center.
Matthews and Tavares. They're playing Matthews-Tavares.
Tavares is having a hell of a year.
He's also a free agent.
He's too old.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, he's old, but
he should go.
Point, because that was a debate. People were also willing to go back and get O'Reilly to bring him back.
That's how that is, though. That's like.
All right, so retrospect here. So here's Mitch Marner's numbers right now. 52 games. He has 16 goals, 54 assists, 70 points.
Just a better Robert Thomas.
Yeah. So right now you're going to put Thomas and Marner on a line together.
You can't do that.
Yeah. So there's the issue.
Too much passing.
That's a lot of passing you don't have a true
Thomas
finisher.
is your second line center.
And so here's the thing. Are you doing Dylan Holloway, Thomas, Marner?
No.
I think that would be great.
I mean, it would be.
And that leaves you your second line.
Because Holloway would be so open all the time. I think
Your second line, Dvorsky with Booch and Kyrou. I don't like that. I think,
God.
honestly, you know what, that first
Hearing
line
Buchnevich's name just makes me so upset right now.
honestly, he's the guy they have to find a way to get out from the contract, but there's no one that's going to be
There's
willing to take him.
no possible way. There's
And
no way.
I really hope it's a down season, but I don't know.
Well, he's about to be 30. He had his best year of his career last year, so
yeah, I just think
he's getting old, but he might be consistently staying in that 60-point range, which to me is not $8 million worth.
No. So I don't know. We're in a dilemma. Your defense still needs to get better. I think this is the only thing. If we are able to get in the top 5, I think you're getting a solid defenseman that you can draft.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And you're just getting a guy that's not going to be here for a little bit. But
yeah,
I like the 6'6". I think he's from Czech Republic guy. Just get another Colton Parayko 2.0.
Yeah. Thoughts on Tyler Myers?
Love him.
He's ancient, but he is huge. Dude.
He was the original Big Z. Everyone's like, Zadorov. No, it was Tyler Myers, guys. Tyler Myers was the original goon of defense. That's just a massive man.
God, what a beast, too. You know how awesome it would be to have him and Parayko? Like, Parayko on your first, and then Tyler Myers goes out, and you're that's the same guy.
If you're just putting a goon squad together of just big men, like you got Colton Parayko, who's not really a goon, but just a massive man. You get Tyler Myers, and you get Ristolainen.
I forgot about Ristolainen.
Yeah, Ristolainen, Big Z. Who else? Who's the tool from Dallas that was just giving us a nightmare?
I don't like him. I don't even know him, dude.
Yeah, that guy. I'll take that guy. Don't know his name, but
he was just a pesky kid.
Yeah.
And
then you go pick up one of the guys from Boston. They got a couple guys that are like 6'5". That's fine. I'll just put together a D group that's 6'4" or bigger.
Perfect. You ain't even getting through the middle of the ice.
You're not getting through the middle of the ice.
His sticks are 3 feet long.
Yeah, everyone's got waivers for stick length.
That's unreal. Yeah, I don't know. just talking out of our butts now.
That being said, I mean, there's not much to talk about in this one right now. We're kind of at a crossroads of a team. We're in the epitome of a retool, and I'm worried right now this retool is not going to be as quick as people thought it was going to be. I guess he said 5 years, and a lot of people are saying he did preface that they were going to be a middle-tier team this year. Well, we're not a middle-tier team. We're a middle-bottom-tier team, which kind of sucks. But you also look at the Central Division, who was so good for so long, and you're finally starting to see the struggles. Chicago, Nashville, us.
Yeah. And now it's time for Minnesota and Dallas. I'm telling you, Dallas is the best team in the Central. I think the Jets are fantastic right now. I still think Dallas is cup contender.
Here's the thing. Winnipeg is a goalie injury away from being just out of luck.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think they could. Well, the fact that they're in first place, they're in.
Yeah, they're good.
They would have to have a absolute meltdown, like 20 losses in a row meltdown.
Yeah,
but I agree. Yeah, Comrie's all right, but he's not. I mean, Hellebuck is just inhumane. He's stupid good.
Yeah.
I really, really fear that our goaltending situation isn't good.
If you're the Blues,
in a weird way, I think Binnington's old now. Hofer's still not ready. What's the next Binnington contract look like? Is he a person that gets looked at to maybe get moved as a backup for a playoff team?
That's what I hate it, but I've also thought about that. Like, is he a guy
to think about, right? Because he's Mr. Blue, and net just sometimes money talks, sometimes you get old, and sometimes you aren't good anymore. You do have to blame it on some defense too. I mean, we're old and slow, but for the most part lately, we've been all right. Like, besides the last 4 games.
I truly think you ride it out till the end of Bennington's contract.
I mean, yes, I agree.
And by then, I truly believe Hofer is ready.
Couple years.
But the other thing, though, like, you have Zarankov and you have Colton Ellis, who are biting at the bit down in the minors.
Yeah, Ellis has been there for a while.
And I think Zarankov, you really got to make a decision on Zarankov. Like, there's just so much that has to happen here in the next year. I don't think we're a borderline playoff team at best next year, but I think you really are banking on Jimmy being the guy. You're banking on Dvorsky being ready, which I think he will be, and I think Keith Walchuk, the AHL coach, was on 101 really talking about how he's grown. I don't think Otto is going to make the jump just yet unless he comes out of camp and is just a madman, which I could see Otto Stenberg having an offseason to just be like, nope, I'm taking a spot and it's happening. And I wouldn't be opposed. If you could find a way for him to be a winger, and I mean, that means Texay is gone. I mean, why not? Like, if we're going to do it, I'd rather us just jump in and just do it, instead of like middle tiering around, because right now ownership's struggling with money because like you're not getting in the playoff run, but they keep throwing money at this team, which thank the Lord for the Stillman group.
Yeah.
But you got to do something. And I think the biggest thing is like someone's got to pay for this right now. And I think there's going to have to be a locker room shift. And
the locker room shift, I think, is inevitable. I also think that the retool is almost just like a gradual rebuild. Like, I'm starting to realize it. Like, Armstrong's like, we're going to be competitive. We're not now, but we were. And it just makes it a little bit of a weird, elongated process to kind of bring the pieces up, move things out, bring things in. I think at the end of the day, we're going to be fine in a couple years. I mean, I truly believe it. I might be completely naive. You never know. But I think St. Louis is going to compete again and possibly be a contender within 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think realistically, we're back in the picture in 2.
Yeah. Yeah. Young guys, they come up, they get a year. They play with a more veteran style of Thomas and Kyrou, and Parayko's real old and all that good stuff. And then I think it all funnels together.
Parayko gives me Suter vibes, though, that he's going to be able to just go long term.
If his back stays good, and he learns to slow down his play and not have to play as physical like he did before, having to like be the guy to do everything back there.
Yep.
Then he could do it. And he's going to get 1,000 games as a St. Louis Blue.
Well, here's the thing. He's 31. He's only a year younger than Falk, and Falk looks brittle.
I know. He's had numerous injuries, like back to back to back, though.
Cam Fowler, I will say at the end of his deal, does sign an extension.
Yeah. I love him. I do.
I think they signed him for 5.5.
Oh, my God. That's a lot, man.
It's a lot. I know.
I think
Tyler Tucker's earned every ounce of re-signing.
Yeah, he's looked good.
But you have to figure Letty's moved in the offseason. You have till July 1st before trade protection kicks in for Kyrou and Booch.
Yeah. We'll see. The Booch contract is the only one that I'm actually concerned about because it's a lot of money for someone who's going to be so old by the end of it. Yep. And especially because it's just big money for a middle market, and he's not contributing. Like, you got to step up, bud, and score goals. He's looked good in Utah tonight. We're up 1-0 going into the third, everybody, so you'll see the final here soon. Josh and I, this is it. It was a quick 45-minute one. We are just voicing frustrations, talking through it with you guys. Make sure you comment. Tell us what you think. Make sure you tag us and everything that you want us to hear about. We're kind of at a standstill with the podcast right now, but I think we're working our way into a broader audience, and I think it's thanks to you guys. So keep on telling everybody and sharing it out and watching the Blues hopefully get better.
Hey, and it's one of those things, guys. We have grown a lot more than we thought we would have here in, I guess, 6 months now of starting this podcast. So we can't thank you enough.
Yeah.
But that being said, there's still plenty to come here in 2025. I think we have a lot still in the works with a lot of potential segues that we can take this. So that being said, we love you guys. Thank you so much. And Mikey, I always love doing this with you, buddy boy.
Yeah, that was fun. All right. Let's
Peace
go
out.
Blues.
Let's go Blues.